Snapchat Horror Stories, Volume 1, The Vanishing Snap. Part 3, The Final Snap. The days that followed our decision to confront Unknown Heights 23 were the most terrifying of my life. Sleep was a distant memory, and every small noise sent a chill down my spine. After receiving that last snap with the haunting words, "I'm here," it felt like my world was closing in. The fear was so real, and this entity, whoever or whatever it was, seemed intent on driving us to the brink. Mia, Jake, Allie, and I had barely spoken since that last night. We all avoided our phones, but it didn't help. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the shadowed figure outside Jake's window, just standing there watching us. But tonight was different. As I sat alone in my dorm, the silence felt thick and unnerving, as if it were pressing down on me, suffocating me. Then my phone buzzed. I stared at it, dread pooling in my stomach. I'd silenced notifications for all my apps, but this notification was unmistakable. It was from Snapchat. With trembling hands, I unlocked my phone. The message read, "Turn on your camera." Without thinking, I looked around my empty room, almost expecting someone to be hiding in the shadows, but I was alone. Taking a deep breath, I decided to respond. "Who are you?" I typed, feeling a strange mix of anger and terror. The response was almost instant. "Turn on your camera." Against my better judgment, I switched on my front camera and held it up. The screen showed my face, pale and frightened, with my messy room as the backdrop. I waited, and just when I thought nothing would happen, a notification popped up. "Unknown Heights 23 is typing." Then my screen glitched. My face disappeared, replaced by a darkened figure, a shadowy silhouette staring back at me. I felt frozen, like prey in the gaze of a predator. The figure raised a hand, pointing. I instinctively looked behind me, but there was nothing. When I looked back at my phone, the screen showed a new snap notification. As I opened it, my blood ran cold. The snap showed me sitting on my bed looking at my phone. Only the image was taken from outside my window, and there, standing just behind the glass, was that shadowy figure, its face hidden but unmistakably staring at me. I jumped up, heart pounding, and ran out of the room. I sprinted down the hall to Mia's room, banging on her door until she opened it, her face pale and terrified. "Sarah, you too?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. I nodded, breathless. "We need to get Jake and Allie, now." We gathered in Jake's room, all of us shaken, telling each other about the latest snaps we'd received. Each of us had seen that same figure, looming outside our windows or appearing behind us in mirrors, like some kind of shadow that followed us everywhere. We decided then and there that we needed to delete Snapchat, to block Unknown Heights 23 for good. But as we opened the app, ready to delete it, a new notification popped up, as if the stalker had been waiting. It was a group snap sent to all of us simultaneously. The message read, "You can't escape." "Can't?" Jake, hands shaking, opened the snap first. "It's a video," he whispered, his voice thick with fear. He turned up the volume and we all watched, huddled around his phone. The video showed a darkened hallway, our dorm hallway. The camera moved slowly, step by step, down the corridor, pausing briefly at each door. Then it stopped at Jake's door, our door. There was a long pause, and then the screen went dark. Another notification popped up. "Come outside." I looked at Jake, Mia, and Allie. We were all terrified, but something in us, maybe curiosity, maybe defiance, compelled us to go. We left Jake's room and walked down the hallway, feeling like we were walking into some kind of trap. The lights flickered as we moved, each shadow making us flinch. At the end of the hall, we saw something that made us freeze. A phone lay on the floor, screen glowing, facing us. As we approached it cautiously, the phone's camera turned on by itself, pointing straight up as if someone invisible were holding it. Then we heard it, a faint whisper, almost unintelligible, but unmistakably calling each of our names. Sarah, Mia, Jake, Allie. I felt a shiver run down my spine. "We need to leave now," I whispered. But just as we turned to run, the phone screen flashed, showing a new snap message. "Look behind you." Against every instinct, I turned, and there, standing at the far end of the hallway, was the figure. This time we could see it clearly. It were draped in shadows, its face obscured, but its presence was overwhelming. The air grew cold, and I felt like I was suffocating under its gaze. Then, just as suddenly as it had appeared, the figure vanished. But the fear lingered, gripping us tightly. In a panic, we sprinted back to Jake's room, slammed the door, and blocked it with every piece of furniture we could find. Each of us deleted Snapchat, turned off our phones, and huddled together, our breathing shallow and panicked. As the first light of dawn broke through the window, I allowed myself a sigh of relief. Maybe it was over. Maybe, by some miracle, we'd managed to escape. But as I relaxed, Jake's phone buzzed, breaking the silence. I watched in horror as he picked it up, his face going pale. He showed us the screen, a final message from Unknown Heights 23. It read, "You can't delete me, I'm always here." The phone screen went black, and that was the last we ever heard from Unknown Heights 23. But even though the messages stopped, the feeling never left. I still check my windows every night. I still feel those eyes watching me, waiting. And sometimes, in the dead of night, I think I hear a faint whisper calling my name.